Parashat Shemot. Parashat Shemot, I would like to, with your permission, try to dare to say that in this parasha, maybe we can find the reason for anti-Semitism. You didn't think about that, huh? Do you think about anything?
I do.
Oh, okay, very good. So the question of anti-Semitism, or the issue of anti-Semitism, as it seems, basically, I mean, even before this parasha, really started already thousands of years, but especially when our forefathers were in Mitzrayim. I mean, in Mitzrayim there were many slaves. In Egypt there were many slaves. Many nations that lived there, not slaves, many nations that lived there. But you don't find such a hatred towards any other nation as you find for the Jews. However, the reason of that, of this hatred or anti-Semitism, it's quite surprising. If we take a step or leap forward, it will be very difficult, even for ourselves, to explain the world and the world reaction after the events of October 7th. We are talking about a world that all of a sudden changes skin completely and created a special standard for Israelis/Jews. In other words, that's the only nation in the world that after being attacked is not allowed to defend itself nor to retaliate. The world, as it seems, wants the Jews to be slaughtered. That's what it seems like. Or that the Jews would not have a state. Every nation in the world is allowed to define itself as a nation with a land of its own besides the Jews. Which is crazy. You're talking about women organizations, all these feminist organizations. When women were raped and then later on burnt, I didn't see a word of those feminists saying a word for that. What? Jewish women are not women? They're allowed to be raped? It's okay to rape? We're talking about an organization like the United Nations that it's so outraged. I never heard a word from the United Nations condemning the acts of October 7th, nor from the guy who was a Secretary General, nor I ever heard the United Nations saying anything about the Arabs, and I refuse to call them Palestinians, those Arabs throwing rockets on civilian population in the tens of thousands. I never heard any condemnation of that. In other words, you see that there are different status for Jews, Israelis, and the rest of the world. However, you should know anti-Semitism is not a new thing. That message was already brought up to Avraham Avinu when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu the following: Yadoa teda, you should know and know it very well. Ki ger yeh zar'acha be'eretz lo lahem. Your descendants, your offsprings, those who will come from Yitzchak and those who will come from Yaakov, will forever be foreigners in the land that is not theirs. You can have American Jews that have been here 4 or 5 generations. You can have some dingbat coming across the border illegally, and he will tell you, Jew, go home. This is the most pathetic thing. So, and when it says, Ger zaracha be'eretz lo lahem, right? It means not only in Egypt, it also means here. In other words, everywhere we're gonna go, it doesn't make a difference how long we're gonna be there. You know how long Jews were in Germany?
How long?
How long? For 1,000 years. You know how long Jews were in Spain?
200?
If not close to 800 years, if not more. If not more. Some say there were actually Jewish establishments in what we call the Iberian Peninsula since the time of Beit Sheni, maybe even beforehand. For whatever reason, Jews are always not welcome. And that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu. And you really see how this prophecy came to play a role, to fulfill itself in this week's parasha. You really see it how he did. So the question is asked, why did God had decreed on us, on the Jewish people, hundreds or maybe thousands of years of suffering, persecutions, oppression, ethnic cleansing of Jews? We're the only one who are not allowed to do ethnic cleansing, but we are allowed to be ethnic cleansed from everywhere we go. It's crazy. Jews have suffered tremendous cruelty that is unimaginable. There was Bala Akedah Rabbi Yitzchak Arama, who experienced himself the expulsion, by his own say, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, was witness to persecutions. Oh, nice haircut. Was a witness for what we call the Inquisition in Spain, and burning Jews on the stake while they're alive. While the people that would take the Jews to the square, to the city square, to the plaza, set them on fire while the crowd was cheering. When I look at pictures or videos of places like in Spain, like Cordova, all these places, and the old, where used to be Jewish quarters in Spain, and I look at the plaza and I'm saying, my ancestors were burnt there alive. My ancestors were burnt in Zaragoza, in what it is Barcelona today, which of course, and today they love Arabs so much. Look what they do to them. He himself felt that. Rabbi Yitzchak Arama felt it, and he said something fascinating in his Perush for the Torah, to the Torah. He said something like this. He said there is a great spiritual secret or message that process of Jewish oppression and anti-Semitism carries within itself. He says that the secret behind it, maybe the biggest natural phenomena that is out there, is dealing specifically with hardship. Learning to deal with uncomfortable situations. Dealing with situations like this will make the people fit to build itself spiritually for the job that it was given. In other words, Am Yisrael was giving a great spiritual duty, but it's only through this hardship that we can find it. And we need to really understand that, even though we don't really want to understand that. Ephraim, sit down. Look, they had to go to the desert, and everything that we do. There is a certain job here, and our job, Rabotai, is spiritual. Our job is to be a certain aspect, and we'll maybe talk about it a little further. So, you need to understand that every achievement and any success that came to you without difficulty does not allow you a process of learning and growth. As they say in Yiddish or in Cantonese, thank you, easy come, easy go. Yagata umatzata ta'amin. If you work hard and you found what you're looking for, believe in that. Yagata velo matzata lo ta'amin. It can't be that you work and you're not going to get somewhere. Also, matzata ve'yagata מצאת ולא יגעת, also לא תאמין. Because the whole concept of emunah and development comes through the hardship. In other words, a process of learning, of building, of appreciation to the stage in which we will be after this growth. So if you have a father or mother or parents that nourish the kids without any responsibility, what they are doing in this matter is simply cutting their legs and not allowing the kids to grow and develop. A kid, children need responsibility. Little kids, little responsibilities. Big kids, big responsibilities. If you have a family that mommy does everything, does not allow the child to do the dishes or wash the laundry, is a cruel mother. So only through that, through those difficulties, this is how we get the actual growth. And that's what basically Chazal is trying to tell us all the time. The more you look back at ourselves and you say what we learned, what did we take, it's only if you achieved it, then you can only reach to a higher place. You cannot aim high if you did not work hard to it, if you didn't go through some difficulties. In other words, you cannot develop a muscle without working hard in the gym or lifting weights or running or doing and so on and so forth. You can't become a good swimmer unless you're going to the water to swim, also when the water is not warm. You can develop if you are not going through difficulty, if it's not hard for you. And then that's something that it's very simple. Ask any entrepreneur, any beginning entrepreneur. He would tell you that building a company or building some kind of a business does not just take pure creativity and not the aspect of raising money and so on and so forth. In other words, being an entrepreneur is a daily test of common feedbacks that you get all the time. You give and you get all the time of other entrepreneurs with ambition that they have, or board of directors and other people that would execute, right? What's the path have to be? In other words, the path needs to be calculated all the time examining that I'm on the path, on the goal that I set. When you don't have goals, you are not going anywhere. And to have the goal to avoid hardship is a loser mentality that would get you nowhere. And you need to understand that. Look at anything that you have. You want to be a good runner. You got to run when it's uncomfortable. You want to do anything. You got to work hard. Only through getting out of your comfort zone, only then you could develop. Only then you could achieve something. You cannot be a marathon runner sitting on your couch all day long, eating donuts. Ain't that gonna happen? Not gonna happen. Only through the difficulties of finding the proper wife or husband, then you're going to appreciate what you have. Only when you don't have something, you appreciate oh my goodness, I had it, and now hopefully when you get it, you're going to know how to deal with it better. But when things come to you easily, now it doesn't make a difference if it's money, children, or anything comes easily, you're not going to appreciate it. You're just going to throw that behind. There's not going to be any process of growth in that matter. So don't run away from difficulties. Now, you need those people on board all the time with you to be able to continuously navigate the path, even if it seems that it's impossible to get to where you wanted. You need to figure out a way. To say "Yeh beseder" is going to be okay, that's not optimism. That's stupidity. Okay, we're running into a wall. All right, let's find a way to get out of it. Let's go a different path. In other words, we need to have emunah, belief, with a realistic and productive plan of how we're going to achieve the goals. Most people don't have any goals and objectives about anything they do. For example, you want to go on vacation. Why you want to go on vacation? I want to go away. But why? You're going without a purpose. You might as well not go anywhere. What are your goals and objectives? How are you going to achieve them even if things don't go your way? And don't be a spoiled brat. Always want what you want. When you always look to get what you want, and if you don't get it, you throw a tantrum. We're not talking about this. So when the Torah tells us, "Ve'ele shmot bnei Yisrael habayim Mitzrayim," these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt, it's a continuation, and here's the revelation. It's basically a continuation of the struggle between the neshama, which is represented by Bnei Israel, and the guf, which is the nations, and in this case represented by Mitzrayim. In the scheme of things, there are certain nations that are the head. There are certain nations that are the heart. There are certain nations that are the stomach and the spine and so on and so forth, in terms of the overall aspect of humanity. Us, we were giving a job to be the soul of the body that's called humanity. Now, there is always a struggle, that disharmony between the body and the soul. Am Yisrael went into Mitzrayim, and we know Mitzrayim was all about, you think Halloween parade is a big deal? Mitzrayim was there every day was Halloween parade over there. So, when they talk about Mitzrayim, we know Mitzrayim represent Makom Tsar. Meitzar, lehatzer, is narrows, some kind of a narrow strait, where things don't flow so well, because it becomes narrow. Like Venturi's pipe, becomes narrow, so the pressure increases. So that's exactly what happens in Mitzrayim. And that place that is narrow is the guf. And basically our body, a guf, is the prison of the neshama. And not for that, the Torah uses the present tense, Habbaim Mitzrayim. In other words, it doesn't say, Ve'elu shmot bnei Yisrael asher ba'u Mitzrayim. Habbaim. In other words, all the time. They're coming into Mitzrayim all the time. In other words, that reality, it is our reality of coming to Mitzrayim every single moment of our existence. Each and every one of us has this Paro. Now Paro, if you know, Paro, you take the letter Paro, Pei Resh Ayin Hei, right? Is, if you change the order of the word, you get Ha'orif. The back, stubborn. Am Kasherov, a stubbornness, a certain stubbornness. So when Moshe tells Paro, Ko Amar Hashem Elokei Yisrael Shalach et Ami, let my people go, right? He told him to do that. Paro says, Mi Hashem Asher Yishma Bekolo. Who is God and will listen to his voice? Leave me alone. In other way, that's turning, by making the statement, that's turning the back of the body to the soul. I'm not there, we're not having a partnership anymore. You're going to take care of me, I'm not taking care of you. The alliance that we had, buddy, is over. I don't need you, you need me. That's what the body is telling to the soul. So, and that is a constant war and struggle that we have between body and soul, between materialism and spirituality, inside of each of any of us. In other words, that is the war for our identity. The problem is that when we forget that, slowly, we lose our identity as people. And when we lose our identity in terms of what we are and what we're supposed to do as Jews, we are allowing the body to take over until the point that there is no soul here anymore. And you need to understand now what does it exactly mean. The Zohar teaches us that the more the body grows, in other words, where the vessel in which the neshama stays in or lives in, the greater the body, the greater the neshama. And the war or the battle starts already at the age of bar mitzvah, or bat mitzvah to that matter, because until that point there is enough spiritual powers in the soul to be able to give the body a fight. Right? And that is, if you're going to use Freudian terms, right, That's going to be you moving from a stage of completely id. As a kid, is all about himself, right? Only me. I want to eat, I'll scream, I don't care if mommy's sleeping or not. Then you need to find a balance between the id, the ego, and the superego. When you become 13 years old, hopefully you grow out of that stage, right? Because there are some buffoons who are 40, 50 years old and still have a mentality of a 12-year-old, unfortunately. And these are the people that are usually the narcissists, the selfish, and so on and so forth. You will make perfect candidates for politicians. So when he gets enough power to fight the body, we come into the peak of things. Usually, when the person is the age of 7 years later, which is 20 years old, where the body reaches its peak in terms of development. Your peak of your body development is from 20 to 25, especially for you men. After 25, believe it or not, is a downhill. Yes. So when the body reaches this level, right? So every year we get another chance. Every year we get another chance to really go through this battle, to struggle again, and that's called the Tkufat HaShovavim, right? What we have right now. Shovavim is the Rashi Tevot of the Parashiyot that we have there, which is Shemot, Vayera, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, and Mishpatim. Shovavim. That's the thing. During this period of time of Shovavim, there is a certain spiritual windows that open up in the heavens that allows us to live again. You see, you don't need to go to have a Freudian sofa over there, right? You could, during this time, live again, experience again your childhood, the growing up, the maturing, the adolescence, and so on and so forth in each and every one of us. In other words, during this time, we could experience the spiritual and individual Yetziat Mitzrayim. Between this stage that we're going to come to Pesach, we'll be able to reach real freedom. And for us, the real freedom is Cherut Amitit, is really Ma'amad Har Sinai, our own revelation of Sinai. Because it says over there, Al Luchot Abrit, Michtav Elokim hu Charut al Luchot, right? Divine inscription is engraved on the tabernacles, on the luchot. And the Midrash says, "Al tikra charut, don't engrave, ela cheirut." Cheirut means freedom. Cheirut, freedom from all the limitations that the body put to us, including the angel of death. And what's that angel of death? Imprisonment. That means being depressed, being frustrated. Feeling miserable, incapable, you can't do this, overwhelmed. That many times we experience once we decided to, I'm going to lay down and play possum because I cannot fight anymore. I'm not saying look for fights, because believe it or not, the fights will come to you. You don't need to look for them, they'll come to you. Hardship will come your way. You don't need to add your own hardship for good measure. But when it comes your way, don't run away with it. Don't run away from it. Deal with it. Learn to deal with it. And once you abandon the war and you said, okay, that's it, I surrender, then you are simply considered to be dead because there's no neshama in you. It's all about your body. So in a way, you're going to tell me zombies. Yes, they're going to be a zombie, how do you call it? Apocalypse. Why? Because there are going to be so many people, they're not going to have any spiritual segment in them. It's all going to be about fulfilling the needs of the body. Eat and drink because tomorrow we'll die. That's like in Pompeii. That's what they did. It's exactly the same thing. People don't care about anything. Give me my free joints, my free alcohol, crazy sex, and I'm all good. Nothing spiritual. Nothing. These people are considered to be zombies. Dead. Because they're alive. But what happens to a person when he dies? He has no neshama. The neshama leaves. It's just a body. Well, the same thing is here. That's what happens to these people. The way to overcome those boundaries of the body, as the Zohar says, is to find the path of love. To find the path of love, because it says, "Ve'afta lere'acha kamocha," which is basically, as Rabbi Akiva says, the whole Torah on one leg. Once you came out of yourself. Once you are not already only about myself. Once you reach that level of loving another person as much as you love yourself, then you reach freedom. Then you're free from your body. It's a sign that you're free from the body. The problem is that people are not capable of loving is because they are all about the body. And that's true not only to prayer, that's true to all aspects of your life, including your children and your spouses and so on and so forth. It has to be a willingness to give because I want to give, because I love the person, because I feel one with the person, not because, I'm going to give because I'm going to get something from you. At least say thank you. Not even that. You do it because I want to do it. Once we do that, if you fulfill this is how you start to break away from the curse of the body. The powers of the neshama, in other words, how we call it in Hebrew, ahavat chinam, right? Free love, with no strings attached. Love for the sake of love. The powers of neshama always want to become free, and they grow so much of us. Why? Because Mitzrayim, the place, really makes it very hard for us and really forces the body to go through a lot of hardship and tzarot and so on and so forth. And it Dafka knows that during the hardship, this is where we grow and we develop and we change. That's why it's important for us to understand that Yetziat Mitzrayim could be in all aspects of your life. People think, I'm looking for retirement. I want to win the lottery. And that's the biggest trap that the lottery, for example, gives you. I want to win the lottery so I don't have to have any hardship anymore.
That's when it starts.
That's when it starts, you're right. That's when it starts. That's when it starts. I want to avoid any it's like I hate when people tell me, I want to avoid any conflict. Why everything has to be a conflict? Do you avoid the conflicts within yourself? You're never going to accomplish that. Start with yourself. Start with yourself. You want to be the toughest guy in the world? Well, be uncomfortable as David Goggins. Step into out of your comfort zone. Look for hard. That's what's going to make you stronger. That's what's going to make you grow. If I'm going to see, and by the way, this is what happens to all the people who listens to Torah through, I'm learning Torah, I'm listening to, some kind of, they don't have tapes anymore. Okay? Yeah, shiur online while I'm driving. Yeah. You want to learn Torah, you got to toil, you got to make it hard, you got to find the stuff that you don't understand and work on it until you understand it. Torah was given to us all to understand. If you're going to tell me that I learned and I didn't understand, I'm going to tell you you didn't try. It's impossible. It was designed for you to learn. We all obligated to learn. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to give us something to do that we are not capable of accomplishing. So don't tell me I don't have the hand for it. There's so many different aspects of the Torah. Don't tell me you don't have the hand to it. Because if you're going to tell me that if you dare to put your mouth in the right place, I'm going to tell you the following. Give me half a year, and then we're going to come to reevaluate if you could learn or not learn. But in that half a year, you're going to give me a whole half year, morning and night. Don't tell me you can't learn. You don't want to try. You don't want to go with conflicts. I want to try to avoid conflicts as much as I can. If I could, I could. I mean, those people, if they could, they're probably going to crawl back into mommy's womb all over again. But God forbid they'll face the world. Plastic men. Now, and that's why it says a person needs to understand that each and every one of us has his own Mitzrayim. That's why in Chag HaSukkot it says, Chayav kol adam lirot atzmo kilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim. Like you came out of Mitzrayim yourself. In other words, to have the emunah that there is a chance to come out of this struggle that we had, to come out of this difficulty that we are experiencing right now. In other words, hardship has a very important role, and it's almost like a sick person that sometimes, you need to have a high fever to become healthy. Your body fights it. You need to fight it. You need to find a solution. There's nothing to do. So Parashat Shemot is the parasha in which we enter into the darkness of Mitzrayim. In other words, the end of the generation of the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But this is also a parasha of Atchala. It's also a parasha about beginning. It's the end, but also a beginning. When something ends, right before there's something starts. It's always like this. It's not the switch. Nature, when before something ends, something else starts. So when before the end comes, the beginning already started. And that should be a nechama for all of us as well. And that parasha, at the beginning, it starts with a tremendous difficulty, and really explain to us how we can overcome that. In other words, and why we should also expect Geulah. We should not give up. We should strive to reach salvation to the time that we're going to be absolutely free. And the freedom that the Jews want, according to the Rambam, is to be able to be in their own homeland, free to live as Jews. And if you look throughout history, the nations in which oppressed the Jews the most at that particular time in history were usually the cultures or the nations that were completely immersed with their bodies, with the externalism throughout history. And that is the struggle of the body. The body wants to overwhelm us, and we have a job to do. And we need to understand also, which is quite relevant to what we're experiencing today, that basically the only, and you need to remember, and remember this very carefully, the only control that you have in the world is on the way you think. So therefore, don't allow anybody to think for you. Don't allow anybody to formulate their ideas and to sell it to you as yours. That's what we do with how we elect our politicians and so on and so forth. Because we want to go through the hardship of doing the work ourselves. We want some guy to come in and fix all the problems for us. So we're going to cast the ballots for them. And then we say, that's basically what we do. Our external reality, you can hardly change. There's nothing really much that you can do about. You can only change your internalism itself, regardless of all our efforts to predict the future. When this is going to happen, when that is going to happen, if this asteroid is going to hit the earth, or if Mashiach is going to come, or what number should I win in the lottery. Regardless of that, there is really nothing that we could really predict. Of course, all the efforts that we are trying to do is really to prevent any kind of pain and to achieve pleasure, right? A person that decides it doesn't make a difference what will happen, whatever will happen, I'll be besimcha. I'll be in content. I'll be okay. I'm okay with what I have. Simcha is not just a person that stops in the traffic light and starts dancing like a lunatic, right? Every time there's a red light. But Simcha is says, listen, you know what? It's hard, but that's good. I read today an article about an Israeli guy. He says when he went to the recruiter in the Israeli army, he says to him, okay, which one is the most difficult job that would take the juice out of me? That's where I want to go. I don't want to go something easy. That's a tremendous attitude. So through the hardship of Am Yisrael, this is for us a great opportunity to really come out. And you really see how all of a sudden, Am Yisrael in Israel, and I'm going to tell you this, regardless of what you like to hear or not, I'm going to tell you the following. A lot of these people, they go there and sacrifice their life, they're absolutely people who are not religious whatsoever. And yet they have something tremendous in them, which what will make us prevail is the Ahavat Israel, the Hafta l'Recha Kamocha. My people are being slaughtered. I don't really care. I'm going to put my life in danger to save these people. And that's a tremendous, tremendous heritage. This is the beauty of Am Yisrael. This is the beauty of Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, a person as absurd as it sounds, is willing to die for somebody else to live. Unlike those people that we fight over there, that the whole thing is a celebration of death. It's all about teaching kids how to kill. But it's a celebration of life. And that's the beauty of Am Yisrael. That's why nobody should ever speak about this secular Jew, that secular Jew, because guess what? They're probably doing greater things than we do in the eyes of Hashem. I don't know. I'm not God, but I can tell you this. To put your life in danger to save somebody else's life, listen, that's the highest level of fulfilling the mitzvot of the Torah. So those people are just amazing. And that's the beauty of Am Yisrael. So that's what we talk about simcha. A person that he's able to do so, regardless of what will happen. You know what? I have the tools. I'm going to come out of it. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to finish it. He's a person that would able to come out from the exile that he himself had placed himself in. What really bothers me, to no end, is those people who wonderful. They made Aliyah to Israel. Most of them did not make Aliyah because they really saw it as a, who knows what they did Aliyah for. But not only they go to Israel, they make Aliyah, they bring the Galut with them. Like all these Anglos who go to Ramat Beit Shemesh, who sit there only among Americans. No, Chaz v'Shalom does it with Israelis. No, only among Americans. And they speak like they spoke in America, and they live American lives, and they don't want to be among Israelis. You have this shtetl mindset that you drag with you into the Holy Land. And they'll still talk in Yiddish, and they talk in it's a Ma'ariv, and so on and so forth, and blah, 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 the whole entire thing. You are finally free. Once you live as a free person, you bring in the Galut with you. You might as well stay in Galut and leave the Galut with you here than to drag the Galut into Israel. You want to go to Israel? You want to live in Israel? Go among Jews. Live among a diverse community that has secular Jews, religious Jews, Kippa Sruga, Kippa Shchora, Kippa Mekupelet, whatever you want. All Jews, they're my brothers. If you can't do that, why are you coming to over there? To create more divisions? To create more? Oh no, we don't do that. Oh, I'm not going to send my son to fight in a war. Let your son go. I'm just going to sit here, learn my stender. Why? Why should only, certain people will have their mothers, whipping for their kids who are dead? Or their wives to the widows? Let's all do it together. We're going to do it all together. We're all going to win. We fulfill the I don't understand. Go out among those people. Go to the places that there aren't, and make, the Yeshuvim that there aren't, so many from people. Make some Yirgunei Chesed. Help all the Jews. Don't help only your people. That's what I hate certain government, people in the government. We'll help the poor people only if they wear our black hat and they wear our jacket. If you're going to help people, what, they're not your people? What, the secular people cannot be poor, or poor people are not secular? What's it? Help everybody. You're not Robin Hood. You're a robber. I don't like that. And stop telling me, the Gedolim, you always hide behind somebody else. Why can only, this one or the other one die? Or serve or support? We all do this together. We're bringing the Mitzrayim on us. We are still imprisoned with the exile mentality that we have. We haven't lived free. And because of that, we need to go through the hardship to maybe we'll be able to realize that we're all in this together. The guy who wants to kill you doesn't care if you're a Sephardi Ashkenazi, if you're secular or ultra Hasid. He wants to kill you because you're a Jew. So what the Goy understand, I as a Jew fail to understand? That's pathetic. It cannot be. It cannot be. The cry of Yehuda Maccabi, Mele Hashem Elai. I don't care if you have a mohawk or you have a mullet or you're going bald. You for Hashem? Come on, let's go. You're with me. This is how we come out of our galut. What we are missing in a way, and I'll tell you even more so. Since the neshama, which we represent the neshama, is not present, therefore the yin and yang, call it, are not in balance. There's more overwhelming on the other side because you're not present. We need to show some presence. And the way we should show some presence is, first of all, by love. Love your fellow Jew. People left their work not just to fight. People left the work. My cousin left his work. He's a retired Navy lieutenant general. lieutenant colonel, I don't know what it was. Yeah, lieutenant colonel. He left his job to support and to give support to families of people who are kidnapped in Gaza. He goes out of his way with his friends to make barbecue for soldiers. But the guy is a lieutenant colonel. He's making burgers. Yeah, he's a little older. They're not going to take him now. But he's there, making burgers for soldiers. You see it also here sometimes in America. People like the Satmar Bikur Cholim. Those dear ladies go out, they come with the buses, they schlep their food and they give food to sick people. But why don't we do that? We all have to take part. I mean, after all, it is our brothers and sisters. It's us. It's our body. So we need to develop this level of love inside of us. When we're going to show ourselves that we are more present, it will balance that, and will be the whole entire world will be more harmonious. And by the way, you see it. Usually when there's great levels of anti-Semitism in the world, there's also great instability in the world. Always. And the world does not understand. The more you persuade or push away the soul, you push away the neshama, the more everybody will suffer. Now, so we are not only in that as Jews, we are only in that as humanity. And certain parts of us are like cancer, and we need to take care of it. If we can't take care of it with radiation, and well, we need to do surgery. And we need to cut this cancerous elements away from us. And we need to understand that. So, that level is ahava and simcha. You have to be a little bit more rejoicing. Stay away from negativity, negative news. Start doing things and bring yourself up more together. The Navi Yeshaya, and why is that? Because the Navi Yeshaya says, Ki besimcha tetzeu, you should go out with joy. And he really meant that the way to become free goes through the effort to be in simcha. Simcha is not necessarily joy, is also contentment. Don't be depressed. Roll your sleeves up. And when you are in action, you don't have time to be depressed. When you are not doing anything, you'll be depressed. Look at the average guy who's retired, he's semi-depressed. Why? Because he's not doing anything. And the pshat of the pasuk is that if you go to the light after a period of darkness, then you become happy. But really, if you look deeper inside of that, the order is reversed. The order is reversed. Only if we're going to be happy, then we could become free, then we're going to come to the light. Again, the circumstances of our lives are not always in our control, but our decision, how we're going to live our life, our decisions to be happy, our decisions to be free, is absolutely in your hands. It's really hard to say it, but there's no doubt that the state of Israel after the 7th of October really proved to itself how strong it is, how everybody put shoulder to shoulder, how united and how capable it is to do things that are amazing together. We saw our nation in one of the most difficult times that, in our times, that also became in a way the most beautiful time. You saw people that completely selfless, putting their life at risk to help other people. Hardship builds you up, so don't run away from it. Hardship also would refine you to become better, because when it's hard, you're going to become more sensitive to the other person's suffering. Hardship would really make you into a better person and is more capable. A person that is able to deal not only for himself, but to become an anchor of stability for other people as well. So we should be very conscientious about that aspect, and then we should really gather our forces and abilities together, and we should direct them all for the time of peace. Hashem oz le'amoiten, God will give us strength, will give us might, and Hashem, God, will bless His people with peace. Amen. Shalom. Shabbat shalom.